Hi, Zizaran here with another Path of Exile video, and this is going to be a speculation on nerfs video. I think I did this last league, and if I remember, I think I was wrong on everything. I don't think I was right on anything. Do keep in mind, I am a hardcore solo self-owned player, so that's obviously gonna affect my perspective, and PoE 3.18 just didn't really have many balance changes, right? And I wasn't really prepared for that. The only thing that I remember getting right was I figured they would nerf the drop rate on Ashes and Omni. I think most people realized that was going to happen. It was either that or a power drop. Anyway, try to avoid things that we already talked about in the last one. Now, before we begin, remember there is a gauntlet coming up. We have these t-shirts for sale if you want to support them. Gauntlet is basically a big race event that I organize, and we kill a lot of people. So, let's get into it. And I think the most likely thing to get nerfed, I would say it is literally 100% chance this is getting nerfed. I don't think there's a universe where this doesn't get nerfed. And that is melding of the flesh. Honestly, probably the strongest item in the game. And a lot of people are like, Mage Blood, right? Or Omni, and loads of other things. There's loads of strong items. But melding of the flesh is a jewel. It can be used with other things, right? Like if you're using a mage blood, you can't use a headhunter. If you're using an omni, you're missing out on a lot of amulets. Everything can use melding. That's why, like, it honestly, it still probably isn't the strongest item in the game. But the reason it is so up there is just because of the fact it is a fucking jewel. And the downsides are so easy to counter. Now, how is it going to be nerfed? There's a couple of ways they can do this. They could increase the downside, but then it's still like insanely powerful, right? So currently it's minus 80 to minus 70 all risk. Let's say they make it like minus 150 all risk. Less builds will be able to use it, but it is still just as powerful once you're able to get it. And it will be massively in favor of builds using multiple purities or being able to stop in a purity of elements to help counteract the downside. So I don't think they're going to go with that. The other one is they could go with the lore weave solution with they can hard cap the max res. So say max res can never be able to go above 80, 85, 89, you know, whatever number they choose. Or they can do minus max res on it. So that you are able to get to 90 max all res, but it's going to come at a bigger investment. Between those two, honestly, it's a bit of a 50-50. I personally hate hard caps, so I hope they don't do that. But it is insanely strong. Aegis Aurora. Aegis has been in the game for a very long time and it hasn't seen a huge amount of change. But it hasn't been used as much as it is lately in every patch. Like, it has always been fairly strong, but it is incredibly rare. There are no div cards for it. You also probably cannot make a div card for it. So for those that don't know, every divination card in Path of Exile is made by a player. GGD as a company hasn't made some. Like they don't sit down as a team and think like, oh, this div card would be good for the game. They're all made by supporters. Bex, for example, was gifted a divination card and made one that way. But outside of them buying them personally, they don't make div cards. And the way this works, like for example, I reached out and because I have 2 more div card creation tokens that I can make, and I wanted to make one for Maxilot's Machination, and they said no, you can't because it doesn't have a way to be obtained. And then I, at another point, reached out and said, oh, I want to make one for Impulsa. And then they said some really interesting information. They said, well, you can't unless the owner says you can. And Aegis Aurora is a supporter unique. So I would venture a hefty bet that the owner of Aegis doesn't want there to be a div card for it, or we probably would have seen one by now. So with the exception of them letting there be a div card, I doubt we'll see one for it. So maybe that makes it that it won't be nerfed because it is a very rare item. It doesn't have a clear path of obtaining it other than Gwenin and Chance Orbs. But it is incredibly strong. It is ridiculous how good it is. And part of the reason why it is so strong as well is because of melding of the flesh. You usually use these two together. Melding of the flesh will equalize your max res, so you get loads of cold. You get the insane basic immortality against multiple hits. Once you have Aegis set up properly, you need to take such a large hit that it one-shots you or you don't die. And another thing that makes it so strong too is that armor got buffed recently. And that makes it a lot better. And Molten Shell has been changed. So Molten Shell plus armor plus max risk, it's just great. So let's talk about skill gems. And right now there's a very, very big problem. Like for example, why would you play an elemental attack skill that isn't lightning strike? We don't see that much like Ellie hit or lightning arrow as much as we used to. And people feel very, very pushed to play lightning strike. Lightning strike is just so mechanically strong, and it is actually slightly weaker damage wise than, for example, Helix, but Helix is kind of clunky. So normally what ends up happening is people do Helix until they have enough gear, because it needs things like additional strike, it needs pierce, it needs more to get working than Helix. But once you get it working, it just outshines everything else. So let me know in the comments if that's something you would like to see changed. Like, let me know what other skills you would like to be more viable, like Wild Strike. And there's also other things that have been strong for a very long time. Seismic, even after the nerf, so strong still. It is currently probably the strongest skill in the game. Maybe DD holding a candle to it. And obviously, it changes on SSF, on Trade League, because you do have access to just pumping in insane items. But on solo self-fun, where you don't have access to it much, Seismic has been king for a while now, and I think part of that as well is the fact that like both duration and trap throwing speed gives additional like seismic booms. Something I think is definitely going to get nerfed is Knifeblade. It's just kind of ridiculous that that's something where, like, obviously last patch they were like, right, everybody, we're not gonna nerf anything. We're leaving it the same, except for Knifeblade. Fuck Knifeblade. And I would have been like, yeah, I see that. Like, you can get so much crit multi for Knifeblade. It is insane. And it gives you defense too with elusive. So it is kind of insane how strong it is. That's another thing alongside Melding of the Flesh that I think is just guaranteed to get nerfed. At least the amount of elusive effect you can get, or like the effect, being able to just scale the crit multi with effect is just too insane. I think it's guaranteed to get nerfed. Other than that, I don't want to repeat myself too much from the last video. Obviously, we have a lot of predictions there that hopefully will be what is getting nerfed in the next patch. But Champion and Sabo, maybe Necro, are pretty likely to get nerfed. I would love to see an Inquisitor buff. It's not particularly weak right now. I just fucking love Inquisitor. Such a cool ascendancy. Anyway, I just wanted to make a quick video talking about that. And we'll probably make a full buff video as well. So, thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video. Good luck in the gauntlet. More importantly, try to die less than I do.